So this is the foolishness that lives in this drawer. I don't even want to pull it all the way out because I'm scared it will topple over and everything will fall. That's how ridiculous this drawer is. So let's go ahead and get started. So you all haven't seen the video on this palette yet, but I've used this a couple of times. This is a native palette from XO Beauty, the Shan XO's brand. I like this palette okay. I just feel like, well, I guess I shouldn't spoil it, but I'm sure you all will see that video before you see this one. So I feel like the color story in here doesn't work for people my skin tone. I don't know if I got a bad palette or not, because I don't know if you all can tell, but this shadow right here has a weird puckle in it. It has like this weird nipple thing going on to it. So I don't know if I have a bad palette, and that's why I feel like it doesn't work well for my skin tone. But I don't feel like this works well for people my skin tone. Maybe if you have a tan skin tone, it'll work better. But for mine, I feel like the colors just don't show up that great, and they just end up looking ashy and not in a cute way. So I have that in the maybe pile just because I'm like, I want to give it another chance and try some more, but I'm just not, I'm not excited to do so. Okay, so this is the Morena. I believe that's how you say it. Don't quote me. This is the Wanderlust palette. I bought this because Julia Mazzucato was talking about how wonderful this brand is. A moment of silence for Julia Mazzucato, since she has left YouTube to, I guess, start her residency or start like grad school to become a doctor. Anyway, this palette I'm not that excited about. I'm going to put it in the maybe pile though, just because I might want to be able to reference the brand. And then if I buy something else from the brand, I can be like, this, you know, comparable to this. So a lot of times that's why I end up hoarding a lot of palettes, because I'm like, if I need to reference this for something else and I don't have anything else from the brand that I like, and I already had something, like, why should I get rid of it? So that's how I end up with a whole bunch of pile of palettes. Like again, this Violet Voss Sugar Crystals palette. It's not that great to me, the formula wise, but if I get another Viseart palette, I mean, Jesus, not Viseart, God. Violet Voss palette that I like, I want to have something to reference it to, and it's not like it's a bad color story. It's a nice pastel color story that actually works well on a variety of skin tones, including mine, which is rare. So I like this palette enough to hold on to it, but like, if I had to buy it again, I don't know if I necessarily would, because I feel like, a lot of pastels that work for me, but we're going to hold on to it. Now this one I am willing to get rid of, because I've actually found a few other Urban Decay palettes I actually like, so I can let it go. This is their Elements palette. This was holiday 2018 or 19. Don't know which one it is. I want to say it's 19, but this is what it looks like on the inside. You see, it's a pretty simple color story. They got the more neutrals that they have right here. Then they have, you know, some greens, some blues, some purples, a little bit of pink. So that's a good little variety of like colorful shades. I hate the packaging on this, but the mirror is immaculate. Like, it looks amazing. And the shades actually worked pretty nice in here. So that's why I held on to it for so long. But I actually have some palettes that are like permanent that I can keep, that I actually like from them, that will be able to reference. So I'm going to finally go ahead and let this one go, so we can let it go. And I just dug my finger in the blue shadows. Oh, sorry, in the green shadow. Great. As I close the belt. Whatever, let me just swatch it on my hand and keep it moving. Okay, so I have the Naked Cherry. So I was holding on to this to pair it up with the Naked Ultraviolet, because I just knew it was going to go on clearance like all these other ones have, because I got this one on clearance. But I feel like there aren't enough dark shades in here for me to do anything with. Like, half this palette doesn't work for me. Only half that works for me is probably like that half right there. And I'm not that intrigued with the color story, and it doesn't go that deep. And y'all know berries aren't really my tone. If I did, I'd pick Berries and Cream by Dominique Cosmetics, not this. So we're gonna go ahead and let this go as well. Now, this Alamar Cosmetics palette, I'm not a fan of the formulation of these shadows. However, I don't own anything else from the brand when it comes to eyeshadows. So I've honestly just been hoarding this just so I have something to compare it to if they do come out with another color story, another palette I like. And I want to try the Spanglish palette and see if the formula is going to be different. Because I didn't like the formula on the mattes. The shimmer formula is fine. It's just the matte formula, like, you know, to me it's terrible. So that's why I don't really use this palette. I think I did a throwback even though it's not Thursday with it. And then I didn't put it up just because I wasn't impressed with the formula on this, or the way my eye look turned out. The shimmers looks fine, but again, I just don't like the mattes in here. So I'm gonna keep this as like a reference thing, but it's not something I'm actually gonna use. So I don't have a pile for that. I'm just gonna put it in with the other ones. I need to find a place where I can put all those type of palettes, because again, this one right here, Poppy Cosmetics, I did not like the way these shadows perform, because the color story is gorgeous. Like, the color story is all of my alley. Look at it, like, it's just beautiful. It has some blues, it has some green. Sorry, it doesn't have any blues. It has some greens, it has some purples, it has some pinks. So it's definitely my type of color story for the most part. I mean, I'm not feeling like the whole little orange row, but I mean, I know lots of people like oranges and warm tones, so she threw it in there. It's fine. I don't know. I feel like the shimmers in here are lackluster, and then the mattes or like that light wash color. They don't have that impactful color that I look for. So I'm mainly keeping this palette like for reference. So again, if I get anything from the brand I do like, I'll have a palette to compare it to. So this is going to go in that category. It's not so much I like the palette, it's just more of I need it for reference. Now this Artist Couture palette, I like it okay. It's just more, we know I'm not a warm tone girl, so I bought this mainly because I knew the formula was going to be good and I like the formula of it, and I caught it I think like a 40% off, so that's the only reason I bought it. Otherwise, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't have bought this palette, but when it was 40% off, and I was excited about the shade Brillo and the other one, but I swatched it for you all in another video that I just did, and they weren't impressive at all. And since this isn't really my color aesthetic as a general rule, I probably won't use this that often, but I'm going to keep it, again, for reference here in my grandmother's house, so I have something to reference when I do make videos, so I don't always have to try to lug a million eyeshadow palettes with me to, like, make videos. So I have Urban Decay's Born to Run here. I keep this again for reference because I feel like the OPV Beauty Spotlight palette is a better version of this palette when it comes to the color story, because this color story, it's washed down and boring. Like damn near this whole top row I can't use anything in. It's like 2 shades I can use in here, maybe 3, and then the rest of it, like the shimmers aren't that impactful. The mattes blend beautifully and they are a nice color story, but like the shimmers are just really lackluster to me, and y'all know I love me some shimmers, so the fact that they're just so meh is what really has me not use this palette. Like I'll reach for the OPB Beauty Spotlight palette before I reach for this, because it has a better color story and the shimmers are more impactful. So I would use the mattes out of here and just use the shimmers out of there, or maybe pull some singles from Super Shock Shadows from ColourPop or something, because this just is not it. But the formula is really nice, and I know a lot of people have it, so it's just another Urban Decay palette for me to reference, because if you all will notice, I don't have that much Urban Decay because I'm never impressed with their formula. Let's look at these 2 Marc Jacobs palettes. So I have the Marc Jacobs, what is it, Cheerific palette. I bought this just to try to build on my Marc Jacobs collection, if you will. I wasn't that impressed with this palette though, because the shimmers in here aren't that great. And then the mattes were really good, but you know, I'm more of a shimmer girl, so it's like I can pull matte singles or I can pull mattes from other palettes. I'm mainly concerned about shimmers when I use palettes, as weird as that is. Unless you have some really bright and colorful mattes to go with the shimmers, then I'll be more concerned about your palette. But this was just lackluster and meh, but I'm going to keep it for reference again. Now this Marc Jacobs palette I actually do like, but again, the shimmers in here aren't that great. This is Stiletto. This is what it looks like on the inside. It has more of a cool tone, grungy, neutral shade going on to it, but again, the mattes and the shimmers in here aren't that great. Like this is a satin, y'all know how I feel about satins, and then this one is like some weird Topper S type shade that you just use a glitter glue and do a whole bunch of work to make it look halfway decent. So although he has nice color stories, I don't seem to like the formulas that he comes up with for his shimmers, and then like to me, his mattes are just okay, they're not exceptional. So I have my Makeup by Mara. This is the Rosy Glam, and I honestly just brought this here for a reference piece because I do not like this palette. If you all saw my videos, then you know this palette was not like it for me at all. The one matte shade in here turned gray on me when I blended it into my crease. The duochrome shade here is not that great and impactful. This shimmer shade is nice, but I would only use that for the inner corner. And then this shimmer shade, like both of these are satin shades, so y'all already know how I feel about it. I don't want it. I get the hell away from me. So this is my least favorite quad, so that's why I'm okay leaving it here, because I know I can have something for reference when it comes to his mattes, and at the same time I'll still have, you know, the palettes I actually like at home for when I do want to do Instagram pictures for you all. So this is the Makeup by Mario. This is the Master Metallics. I did not buy the matte one because I feel like you all knew I wasn't going to buy the matte one though. It was a whole bunch of neutral boring ass shades and I wasn't with that. But this one kind of reminded me of the Decadence palette from Pat McGrath, and the formula is really nice on it. So when I saw this color story, I was like, yes, I need it. Like, I have my cool tone roll right here. When I want to do a warm sunsetty thing, when I want to do a more earthy tone, and then when you want to do a boring eye look. Because to me, these are the 2 boring eye looks, and to me, these are the 2, like, colorful sets. So, I definitely like this palette. I definitely recommend you go out and try it. If you had to try one from him, I would recommend that one, or maybe one of the quads, depending on what your budget is. Because the quads are only $25. That palette I just showed you last is like $50. So, you know what your budget is, like, take your pick. And then during the Sephora sale, if you're Rouge, that means it would only be like $20. So here's the palette we are definitely getting rid of. Oh my god, the formula on this was so horrible. I tried it once and I'm like, no, never again. Let me take it out of the sleeve so you can see. It's This is the Dreadful palette from Chaotic Cosmetics, and Dreadful is right. Like, the color story in here looks so nice, but the formula is so horrible and difficult to work with. Like, I was trying to blend out the matte. It took forever to try to blend out the matte, and then they were really dry and hard to blend, and then they like all the colors seem to muddy into each other. Like, I put this color with this color and they muddied into each other, and I put this purple and this purple and they muddied into each other. And then when I did the orange and black, like, the orange didn't look as pigmented and vibrant as it does in the pan. Like, it was just awful, honey. Like, this palette was a whole hot mess. I did a 3 looks 1 palette. I ended up deleting the video, and then just, you know, like, you notice y'all only seen the palette. You're not gonna see the video because I deleted it because it was so terrible. This palette is just awful, and I don't recommend that you try it at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the clutter pile because it's awful. Okay, another palette we can declutter is this Jouer Ultra Foil. Now, this was from their holiday collection, I think like 2 years ago or something. I remember the Fancy Face talking about it. They still have this palette. That's how much people aren't interested in it. I was not impressed with the formula on this. I have other palettes I like a million times better, although it has these purples and these blues and like the shimmery section. So I basically would reach for maybe like these 4. I have other palettes I would reach for. Like, I have the Decadence palette from Pat McGrath, and then I have that Mario palette I just showed you, and then I have, you know, like the Koi palette from Viseart. So it's like, it's plenty of other palettes I would reach for before I reach for this. So for that reason, we're just gonna go ahead and, I mean, I might keep it for reference, but I'm not gonna consider it as a part of my collection, just because the only other Jouer palette I had is the Rose Gold, and I decluttered that one as well, just because I feel like nobody really cares about Jouer, not to be mean. So, I mean, I'm not even going to keep this for reference now I think about it. We're just going to declutter it because I wasn't impressed with it. I love Tina, but I wasn't impressed with the palette, so it needs to go. The next one I have is, this is a bunch of singles. So these are Adept Cosmetics, these square ones, and then the circle ones are my bundle that I got from Sydney Grace. I like all of these. I just ended up putting them in this drawer because I wanted to keep the set together, and then these were the only place he would fit because, you know, I have the Book of Shadows by Colored Rain, and they won't fit in there. So that's, oh, and I'm keeping this, by the way. So next, I'm debating on this Creepy Cute palette. I figure I should just go ahead and keep it, and then I can use the pastels from, what do you call this palette? I mean, from Huda Beauty's pastel liquid shadow I just showed you, to make this color pop more, because I feel like this doesn't pop on me that well. This doesn't pop on me like none of these pastels really pop on me that well. So I'm figuring maybe if I put a you know, like a base that matches the color underneath them, I can go ahead and, you know, get a better look out of them, because on their own they just don't do it. The only thing that does anything for me is the black and the gray, and it's like, I'm not buying a pastel palette for a black and a gray. But I hear people raving about this formula, and I got this on a great deal. Like, I got this one, the Divinity one is right here, and then the Arcana one, which is the one I really wanted, for $100. So I got all 3 of her palettes for $100. So I was like, I'll try all 3 of them for $100. That seems like a good deal to me. So this is what this one looks like. We're gonna go ahead and keep it, but I'm not really a fan of it. But again, pastels don't usually work on my skin tone, so it's not the brand's fault. It's just what it is. This palette, I feel like, is this weird color story, and it's just hard to work with, because when I look at it, if you all remember, I put this in my palettes I'm uninspired by video. Because look at, like, the tones of it. It's just really random and weird to me. Like, I understand I could probably put this one and this one, or maybe like put these 3, and I guess this one, and that one. So it's not that difficult, but it's like, I feel like it's just a limited amount of ideas that I would come up with this palette, just because of how weird the color story is to start off with. But I'm keeping it because I heard Beauty Bean saying that they're getting rid of it, and I would like to have it for reference. Plus, as a makeup collector, I just want to hold on to it. So we're gonna hold on to it, but I'm not excited about it at all. Okay, I have my Glam Light Pizza palette, of course. I will be keeping it. Look at it. It's a green lover's dream. I like mustard shades like this. I really like this sparkly jalapeno green shade. I like this basil shade. It has a nice variation of shades in it that make me like it. And I like the formula on this too. It's more, like I say, for some stuff, because I have some palettes over here in the corner that you all can see, like, barely off frame, but they're not you know, just flat out right in here, because the drawer is so stuffed, so I can't put everything in it. So how about that? The next one I have is the Huda Beauty, what is it, Desert Dusk palette. I got this during the sale this year when they had an extra 20% off the palette. So as you can see, that's why mine is untouched. I got it recently and I have yet to use it. So this is what it looks like. I'm not feeling the pressed glitter in here, and the fact that it's so minimal purples in here and it's a lot of browns and stuff. But I figured for like 20 something dollars I'd go ahead and take it, because I think it was like, sorry, 30 something dollars, and this is a $67 palette. So I was like, I'll go ahead and try it out, because I remember people used to rave about this, but I heard it's only good for a year. So after that, you know, it's shot, and for that price it needs to be good for more than a year, because plenty of other palettes last more than a year. So I'm not trying to hear that shit. So that's another reason I didn't rush out to get it. I don't know if it's a new formulation or what. But next I have the Greatest Hits Bangers from Lime Crime. This was their holiday palette for this year, and I waited for this to go 50% off because I really liked the color story of it somewhat. I saw KK with it, that's Colorful Camille, with this palette, and I was like, yes, KK. So when I saw her with it, I was like, I need to get this palette. Sorry y'all, I'm trying to adjust the light. Maybe I should just turn it down some. I'm pressing lower and like nothing's happening, so I guess it's the lowest it can go. Anyway, so this is what it looks like. I feel like, I know my lights are washing out, so it doesn't look like it's true color. My apologies, but it's a really decent palette. Like, I feel like you can't do a full cohesive look with it though. I had to put in other colors with it. If you all remember in the 3 Looks 1 palette I did with this palette, I pulled in this Scott Barnes palette down here, but I like it. I'm gonna keep it just because I don't own that many Lime Crime palettes. I literally own this and like the Prelude, and I don't own anything else from them as far as palettes go. I have lip glosses from them because I feel like they're really nice, but you know. So let's get into the Scott Barnes palette. This is the Color Bomb, as you can see. The formula on this is nice. I don't think it's worth the price he charges. It's like $84 or some crazy ass price like that. I got this for like, I think 40 some odd dollars because he was having a sale, and he had a 50% off sale during the holidays where you could get it at an exceptional deal. So I hope you all got it then. I wanted the Glamazon one. That's the one that looks really cool toned and has like the purpley taupish vibes, and y'all know that's definitely my vibe. Mauvey, purpley, taupey type things. That's my neutral color zone. I mean safety color net or whatever you want to call it. But I like this one enough to keep it, especially since the things I've heard going on with Scott Barnes, I don't want to buy anything else. So I'm just gonna hold on to this, and I guess I should be glad I got it before, you know, he turns into the hot mess of whatever he is or whatever. So plus I heard he's a Trump supporter, and you definitely know I'm not down with that. So you won't see any more Scott Barnes here. I'm just trying to get all the palettes out the way. So I have this, what is it, Kathleen Lights and ColourPop palette, and I just stuck all my random ass singles in here. So these are just some random singles. All 3 of these are from Menagerie. This one is from Adept Cosmetics. That's KVD Vegan Beauty, and the rest of these are, what's that brand? Give Me Glow. I told you all, oh, I didn't tell you all, but I'm not gonna be showing any of their palettes. I brought other palettes here just to leave here like for reference or whatever in the future, but it's like unless they get their act together, I don't plan on buying anything else. But since it's here in single form, I'll show it to you, but I'm not gonna show you like any of the palettes. I know they're coming out with the pastel palette, and I'm about to show you the pastel bundle, but after that you won't see anything else from them in this drawer. So this is the pastel bundle that they came out with last year, and I was blessed enough to get it when it launched, because I know they said they had a whole bunch of people bought, and they had ended up having to, I think, refund people and stuff because they didn't have enough of them, but they managed to send mine. So this is what it looks like, and this is what the palette's going to look like. They already showed the stuff on Instagram for what the palette is supposed to actually look like when it comes out. So it will be coming out in 2021. I don't know when. I just know they posted it, and I happened to see it in my feed on Instagram. But this is what I'm assuming the palette's going to look like. The pastels in there were pretty nice, but again, since my skin tone, pastels don't ever truly look truly nice on me just because of my skin tone. Let's get into some of these other palettes. So I'm not gonna really declutter too much from here. I'll probably declutter honestly from the last 2 drawers, so that's why I'm not too worried about it. This is a Tom Ford quad. This is Sahara Haze. I bought this one because I called Jackie with it one year when I was first started YouTube, and she was using Tom Ford back then. So she had this quad. I think she said she had bought it for her birthday or something like that. This is what it looks like. When I saw it, I was like, yes, because it has, this is a cool tone gray. And these shades, I have actually never used this. I bought it off someone else because this one got discontinued. This is number 8. But I keep it just for, you know, the memories. This is the Flora, what is it? Flora Fantasy palette from the holiday collection from Pat McGrath this year. If you all remember, I said this was my least favorite one, so that's why I left it here. When it comes to Pat McGrath, I only leave like the things I don't truly care about that much, or I'll leave a couple of things that I like, okay, but I know I'll reach for bigger palettes instead. So this is what it looks like on the inside, just in case you did not see that video. I like this color right here and this one, okay, but this matte is not going to work with my skin tone, so this is basically like a 3 shimmer palette for me, because this one I have to dust over another color, and I would still have to find another color in order to use, because I can't use this quad on its own. And I wasn't impressed with the formula of this out of all the ones they had, but this is one of the ones that was made, I believe, in the US. Don't quote me, because I don't 100% remember if that's right, but I know the one I truly like was made in Italy. So, yeah. Let me see. I'm trying to read on the back now. See, yeah, this one was made in the US. So maybe that's why I don't like it as much. I liked the Italian one the best, and then the Interstellar Icon was made in the US, and I like that one as well. So this brand I don't really talk about that much either. This is Linda Hallberg. The only shade I like in this palette is this one. The rest of these are dupable in other palettes I already own, but since I already owned it, I knew I wasn't going to buy anything else from the brand based upon how the brand acted during the Black Lives Matter movement. I've just held on to it for that reason, because we're not going to get nothing else, because, you know, I try to play the black people, and I'm not with it. So I guess we'll take these Pat McGrath palettes back here since they insisted on falling out. So this is Bronze Temptation, named after one of my favorite lip glosses from her. I like Bronze Temptation and Divine Rose, and she already has 2 palettes by Divine Rose, but this is what the inside of the palette looks like. I did not like this shade just because I didn't like the fact that it changed from like red to orange. It's like it's supposed to be a holiday palette, just let it be red, don't change it to orange, like change one of these shades or something. Anyway, this is what it looks like. I'm not going to take the plastic off just because I'm not in the mood. I did a video with this recently though, at the end of last year with that green, and I think I'd use her new Divine Rose palette. I'm not her new Divine Rose, the what is the mega palette that she came out with for the holiday. This is Dark Star. This is another one of my favorites. You'll see why when you see it. Of course, it has my blues. It has this nice dark shade. It has the black. I'm not feeling the gold. I don't see the purpose of the golds, but they're there, so fine, whatever. It's fine. I like this palette. Like, out of my holiday collection, though, I still say my favorite holiday collection from Pat McGrath is the Blitz Quads. That's my favorite. This is Rose Decadence. She came out with this in 2020. I don't really like this matte shade that much. I love this shade right here. The Fuchsia Flame is my favorite shade in here. This shade is okay as well. Like, I can make a look out of this palette, but I just don't really like this matte that well. I would probably just go in with this shade and then this shade and then maybe like one of these in the inner corner. But these 2 shades I'm not that fond of. And there's nothing wrong with the formula of this one. I just don't prefer the color of this one. And I'm not really a big fan of golds, as you all know, but Mother loves to put gold in everything. So, you know, I'm not surprised with the gold in it. Oh, child, I hope you are prepared. I don't even know why I keep putting these back in here. Yeah, so this is the Blueprint stack from Melt. I actually just did the video for this today. So this is the stack. This is what it looks like. Excuse, the top is really messy. It gets really messy easily when you use that shade, because it's so soft and crumbly like this Smoke Sessions palette originally was. So there's a second stack. Third. I don't remember this shade doing that. It just started doing that today, I guess. And then the last one, because I compared this to the palette. So I actually have one of the stack on one side of my face and the palette on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and keep this. Then I have the Menagerie Violet Ink palette. Now this is coming back in stock, so don't get mad at me for showing it to you. It will be back in stock on January the 29th. They said they found a box in the back with 100 of these in it. So you'll be able to get your hands on the 29th when they restock. I'm thinking about trying to get the Whale Song. I don't know if I will or not. We'll have to see. I might get the Pharaoh as well, but we'll just see how the money's looking then, because everybody's launching a whole bunch of new stuff right now. So I might just have to hold back and wait another time. But this palette looks really nice. I did a Instagram video for you all, but I haven't posted it yet. I'm waiting to post it on the 29th to remind you all that it's coming out. So I think I'm going to actually refilm it to remind you all it's coming out on the 29th. But yeah, this is a gorgeous palette, and make sure you get your hands on it, because they said they only had 100 left. So if you're not one of the 100 that gets it when they first stock it, you ain't gonna get it. But it's gorgeous, and I'm glad that I got it on Black Friday for I think like 20 bucks or something. Next I have Gemini palette. I am not really that big a fan of the Gemini palette, believe it or not, but I think it's because I feel like this part is just boring to me. This is the side I gravitate to. But I feel like you all already know that. And I don't like the formula of this palette as opposed to some other palettes that they have. So I keep it for reference purposes, especially here at my grandmother's house, because I don't have that much melt here. I try to keep the majority of my melt palettes at home, because that's where, you know, I'm inspired by melt palettes a lot more than I am by a lot of my collection. So I like to keep them at home to make sure I can make Instagram pictures for you all every day. So that's why this one stays here, because I want to have some melt to reference. And I actually just brought all my stacks here just because since they're phasing out the stacks, I figured I don't need to have them at home. Anyway, so the next one I have is the Kaleidos, what is Futurism 5 VR Neon. If I remember correctly, they don't make this one anymore. I bought this one because it reminded me of the radioactive stack from Melt Cosmetics, or the just radioactive palettes that they have now, because I didn't get the radioactive stack. I have the palette, but that's what this reminded me of when I saw it. Now these shimmers are really nice. The mattes are okay for colorful mattes. I guess I'm just saying okay because of the yellow, because I feel like the yellows don't ever work for someone my skin tone. So it was a nice palette, but they don't make it anymore. I just keep it here so I can have a Kaleidos palette again to reference. A lot of the stuff I keep here is just for reference. Like if I didn't have a channel, a lot of the stuff probably wouldn't be here. Like half the collection I feel sometimes wouldn't be here, just because I wouldn't need to hold on to things for reference. If I didn't like it, I could just get rid of them. But being a YouTuber, that means I cannot. Next I have the Lolita palette. I actually really like this palette. I love the color story of this, like especially from like these two shades right here. I can easily just put this on the outer V and in the crease and put this on the lid and call it a day, and maybe choose like one of these, put in my inner corner if I was a person who liked the matte inner corner. As a general rule, I don't though, but I really like this palette. I was looking at it when Makeup Shayla first did look on it when it was still Kat Von D instead of KBD Vegan Beauty, and I thought it was a nice color story, but I was like, I'm not giving her my money. So once she left and this went on sale for, I think like right now it's on sale at Sephora for like $11.75 if you go in store and get it. Some stores still have it, so if you're interested, you should probably check that out. I looked at the Sephora inside JCPenney, and they still have it at the one down the street from my grandmother's house, and it's $11, like 75 cents or something crazy like that. Next we have the Melt Cosmetics Impulse palette. Now I know Tina the Fancy Face loves this palette, but a lot of people don't like this palette. I don't like it because of the way it's set up. It has nothing to do with the color story, because the color story is fine. Like when I want a nice fiery moment, I can go for this part. And then when I want a nice green moment, I can go for this part. Then my blues and my purples are over here for this part. So it has a lot of nice parts for you to use. And then if you want a more like embered color story, you can go for this. So it has a nice format, it has a nice color story. It's just more of the layout of the palette is what makes people not like it. So they actually were selling this for like 25 bucks, and I hear that's how a lot of people got it, because I think Karen Harris said she got hers because it was on sale for $25 at Sephora. I don't know. Oh no, it was $25 on Melt's website. At Sephora I think it was like $35 or something. I don't know. Anyway, I have the Norvina palette here. So I brought a lot of my ABH palettes here to live in my grandmother's house, just because, you know, they're not really popular right now with people. They kind of piss people off, and people are just tired of them in general. But this is Norvina palette. I love the shimmers at the top. I really love the shade Soul, even though it doesn't work that well for my skin tone. It's more of one I would just put all over the lid, and then try to find a shade to put on the outer V, like a dark purple in another palette, and go from there, and maybe put like one of these shimmers in the inner corner to give me a nice little oomph, because this blending into the crease or anywhere on me would just look super ashy, and it wouldn't be a vibe at all. Y'all know how I feel about this shade. We're not going to talk about it. But overall, the shimmers in this palette are really nice. And Jackie said her shimmers were actually inspired by the shimmers in Norvina's palette. So, fun fact. I have 2 palettes from Too Faced. I like the 10 palettes better than anything else. I guess I'll start off with this one, since this is the newest one. This is Pumpkin Spice. I bought this because Karen Harris was raving about how nice it is. And I like the purple roll, and I like some of this roll. I don't like the palette overall because I'm not a warm tone girl, so it's just not for me. I'm a cool tone queen. And so I'm not as in love with this palette as Karen is. I think the quality is pretty good compared to some of the other palettes I've tried from Too Faced and weren't in this packaging. That's why I usually try to stick to this packaging when it comes to them, because otherwise I feel like it's usually just trash. It's trash. So I'm going to hold on to it for reference purposes. Plus it's like, you know, a nice holiday palette, so it's not like you'll be able to get your hands on it again. They already sold it out for $24.50, and then I haven't seen it since. So this is Gingerbread Spice. Again, another holiday palette. This is the first, I think, holiday, or is gold, or is chocolate gold considered their first holiday palette? I don't know. Anyway, this is the gingerbread spice palette. I loved this shade Hottie Toddy and this shade Gumdrop. Y'all know when it comes to warm tones, those are more my aesthetic. I like this shade Warm and Toasty. So those were the 3 shades that mainly attracted me to this palette. Plus I just wanted to be able to have a holiday palette from Too Faced, since the holiday palettes used to be like all the rage back in the day. And when I got on YouTube, that was like they were still somewhat the rage and somewhat exciting, but I didn't want to buy those lame cardboard packaging ones that the quality sucked on. So I wanted one like this, and so when they came out with one like this, I had to go ahead and grab it, even though it wasn't necessarily my aesthetic. But I'm gonna hold on to it just for, like, you know, the memories and references and all that from when Too Faced had a good formula and they were, you know, considered consistent and a brand that people liked, because it doesn't seem like that anymore. I have this Rare Beauty palette, and I forgot what this one is. Something of, oh, Magnetic Spirit. I know Confident Energy is at home because that's my favorite one. This is the other one I have from them though. I love this shade right here. I don't know what it is about this color story. I'm just not excited about it. To me, this looks like, I don't know. But I'm not as excited about it. I like the purples in here, but like after we get here, it's like, what is the point of the orange? Like, I feel like they could have put something else instead of the orange, and it would have made a better color story. I don't know. I'm keeping this here for reference though, because she just came out with matte liquid shadows and I wasn't feeling it. So I'm glad I got my hands on this palette and the other one, as opposed to, you know, what she has going on now. Because I'm like, I'm an eyeshadow queen and I feel like eyeshadow is big on the market. So I don't know why she isn't trying to, like, kind of branch into that. But, you know, whatever, to each his own. This is the Huda Beauty Mauve Obsessions palette. This kind of reminds me of the Nude Rich palette, which is why I brought it over here. So if I had Nude Rich vibes going on and I was over here and I wasn't at home, I could still have that vibe. Because if you all remember, I think I did swatch comparisons in my Nude Rich video. I'm not sure. But to me, this gave me that vibe. So I'm like, that's probably why she just continued these, because she knew she was coming out with that collection and this looked really similar. And if people already had this, they wouldn't be less likely to buy the Nude Rich, because it wasn't like she came up with anything inventive. To me, the majority of these colors look exactly the same as in there. And that's why I just keep it here to be able to use as opposed to at home. The next one I have is the Neon Orange. Again, this is just a palette I keep here for reference, so I can have some small palettes from her, because I'm not that impressed with this one. I know this is the one that people like the best out of all of them. Believe it or not, I like the pink one the best out of all of them. This one isn't that great to me, but, you know, I have it because, you know, I had bought all 3 of them when she had her, I think, 50% off sale on her website during the summer. It was sometimes she had a 50% off sale, and that's how I ended up getting all 3. Because I originally just wanted the green one. Then I had heard the green one was horrible, but the shimmers were nice. So then when they had all 3 of them on sale, I just bought all 3, and they were right. The green one is horrible. The pink one is my favorite one, even though people say that it's not that great, that this is the best one. But again, we know I don't like these orangey type shades, so the pink one would work best for me. And I gave you all a look with it this summer. So I'm holding on to it as a reference piece again. It's not something I'm super excited about. Same with this pastel lilac palette. This palette to me was the best out of all the pastel ones, and that's not saying much because this one ain't working for me. I can try to pull that one off, and this one, my problem is, like, she always wants to put these topper shades in here. Crap, y'all, I just broke a shade in the, I just broke Spice Rum out of the, Too Faced palette, so. Yeah, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to keep it now, because it's like I don't like having palettes that have shades missing, so she might have to go now, or I might have to try to scrape it off before and fix it. I don't know. Anyway, back to the palette we're talking about. So this one, I don't like the fact that she keeps trying to put toppers in palettes. Stop trying to put toppers in palettes. Let me move this pumpkin spice before it falls and I feel some type of way. But yeah, so I don't, you know, I'm not feeling it. I don't like the topper shades. Stop putting topper shades and shit, and just give us shimmery metallics like we want. And see, that's my problem with all her palettes lately. I feel like she wants to give you a whole bunch of topper shades, and it's like, I'm not with it. Stop doing it. But again, I'm keeping that for reference. I'm keeping this for reference as well, the Norvina 2, because originally I didn't have my Norvina palettes over here, but I have the Norvina 2 and 3 over here. So I'm trying to debate, should I keep this for reference, or should I just give it to my cousins? Because I kept dropping it. As you can see, this orange has a chunk missing out of it, and I had to repress this just because it was not a vibe at all. So this is I think I'm gonna keep it here for reference still. I have the 3, but I took the 3 home since I have the 2 and the 3 full size here for Single Shadow Sunday. So on Instagram, if you're not following Instagram, you should. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to this for reference. So if you haven't noticed, a lot of things I'm just holding on for reference. It's not necessarily that I like them so much. This one I am keeping though, just because it's gorgeous. This is the Viseart Dark Edit palette. This is one of the few Viseart palettes in smaller form that I agree with people when they say that they or the same as the big quality, because a lot of them are not. Like that one I showed you all earlier, the yellow one, the Soleil palette I believe it's called, that's not the same quality as the full size big $80 palettes. This one I feel like actually is, and then the violet one is, but all of them do not feel like that in my personal opinion, and I have made that known before. But this is a gorgeous color story. To me, this is a condensed version of the one I own, the dark matte the dark matte version. So I like to keep this here so that way I can have some Vizzy art to play with when I am inspired, and a Vizzy art I actually like. Because the other one, like I said, I showed you, I don't like. It's just for reference. This is the Nabla Coral palette. This is the number 2. This is what it looks like on the inside. To me, this was more like a Valentine's Day inspired palette. I think I caught it on sale for like 16 bucks at Ulta, and that's the only reason I bought it. Because otherwise, I would have no part of this. I'm not really that big a fan of it. It's just okay. Like, I like the top version okay, but this is more of like a satiny shade than this coral shade. I'm not really big on corals. I like this dual chromey type shade, but again, I don't like this part right here. So the majority of this palette is okay, but to me, this is just for me to have some Nabla when I'm here at my grandmother's house to play with, since my big Nabla palettes are at home. I don't know, a lot of the Nabla coral stories just don't speak to me. This one did, and then one of the shades came crushed and I was mad. This is a Nabla 5 Wildberry. So I really just like this one because of Alchemy 2.0. This shade right here is like a weird cream to powder, like matte formula, if you will. But mine came broken. They had to send me another one, and I gave it to you all in the giveaway. So when that happens, I usually just save the new thing for the giveaway for you all to get, and then I'll just keep whatever the damaged thing is. So this is what the color story looks like. I really like this shade here, this shade here, and this shade here. Like, usually when I go for eye look, I usually put like this on the, I'll put this on the outer V, this in my crease, put this all over my lid, and just put this in there. Okay, y'all, so I got a box of palettes here that are, some of them are going to stay here and some of them are going to go, well, some of them are just here for reference. So the She's in Parties is going to live here now. So that's because I'm trying to, again, get more of my Milk collection built up here. And then my favorite Too Faced palette, the Chocolate Gold, it is going to live here as well now. And I notice all the Too Faced palettes I buy during the holidays, so I don't really buy palettes from them otherwise, as weird as that is. Natasha Denona Lila, I'm just keeping this here for reference, so I have Natasha Denona. I feel like the color story of this is terrible for anyone who has, you know, melanin in their skin, because I just feel like these mattes she chose don't work well for people my skin tone. And then the shimmers are more like that satin formula. Y'all know I hate a fucking satin, so that's why this one's gonna live here. And then the worst Natasha Denona palette ever to exist, as far as I'm concerned, is the Tropic palette. I know Mel Thompson thinks it's a Safari palette. I like the Safari palette. This one, like, the colors disappear. As dark as this is, and it's not that dark, it like disappears on the eyes. You all saw in the video I did with the worst Natasha Denona palettes. I had this palette on my eyes, and where the fuck did you see it? Because I didn't fucking see it anywhere. This palette is trash. And then the bottom row isn't that great. That's why I'm so glad, I think to God, I got on sale. Because if I had bought this for $129, I'd have been hunting Natasha Denona's ass down. Because ain't no way the fuck that palette's worth $129. Get the fuck on. That's why it's been on sales right for like the last 2 years. That palette is fucking trash. I'm sorry. This is the Hunt palette. I brought this over here to do a palette mashup with this and this one, but I figured I'd show it to you. I'm trying to decide if I want to do it or not. I kind of want to just do an Instagram picture with both of these, so I'm probably going to go ahead and do that. Again, I just had this box in here, so I was going to show you. This is the Nomad Cosmetics Tokyo palette. I feel like you all know why I got this. Like, it is just pastel goodness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this shade, but I'm going to use that liquid Huda Beauty I showed you all earlier, and then use one of these shimmers like in the on top of the lid. So what I would do is I would put the liquid all over the lid, and then probably like have this on the outer V or something like that, or just pat it over the shade and then put one of these shimmers on top, and then put another one of these shimmers in the inner corner or something. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this palette, which is why I haven't given you all a video. I had planned to put a tutorial on IGTV, but I just ended up not working out and doing that. And why I keep putting this back in the palette, I don't know. I guess it's because, I mean in the box, I think it's because I haven't showed it to you all. So since I haven't showed it to you all on the video, I like to keep the box, as weird as that is. You all have already seen this though, the Nomad Orient Express. I'm going to order the Iceland palette. I know Karen Harris already ordered it. I have not ordered it yet. I told her I was going to order it Monday. But yeah, this is what the Orient Express looks like. I like this palette. I did a nice little eye look with it. I want to use it some more, which is why I brought it here. I'm trying to couple with ideas to put on IGTV. So these are some of the palettes I chose. I have this horrible ass palette. I'm trying to debate if I should keep it or not. I think the formula of this is terrible. Plus, I'm just tired of Morphe lying all the damn time. But to me, this is, again, another one of those palettes I would just keep as a reference piece. I would not actually use this. I had a whole video that I made about how I did not like this palette. And how they lied about the formula being the same as the first one, and it is not. Not to mention, there's a whole bunch of neutral shades in here. Again, she tried to put a few purples and reds and pinks in here, but look at the top of this. Majority is this like neutral, like sunsetish type vibe, and I'm not necessarily here for it. I'm going to try to use it one more time and see if my feelings have changed on it, but otherwise, that's pretty much it. I have the Cake palette. I like this one. This is the Glam Light Big palette I like. This is the only Glam Light Big palette I like, and I only have 2 of them, but this is what it looks like on the inside. I like the formula of this one. I like the color story of this one. I think this one's really nice. You all know how I feel about the Ice Cream Dream, but again, I'm going to keep it for reference because I'll be damned if I'm going to get rid of it after all the money I spent on it. This is the Ice Cream Dream palette. Well, that's the packaging for it, and then it has the cones in it. Maybe I can try the shade. My problem with this one is, like I told you all, the colors don't translate on the eye like they do in the pan. Like they run, I believe it's lighter or is it darker. It was one of those things where it didn't match what was in the pan, but I'm feeling like maybe if I put the Huda Beauty colors with it, I'll like it better. But this is just a reference piece for me. I do not like this palette at all, and I'm not going to recommend you buy it. I tell you go buy the Cake palette. Do not buy this one. The shimmers in it I am not impressed with either, because they're more like those topper things. I don't know what the fuck people are thinking with these toppers. We don't want toppers. We want actual shimmers. Please stop. So this is the next drawer we have to go in. Let me get y'all a little closer and lower there. Let me just lower this tripod down a little bit as well. Okay, there we go. So when it comes to the very bottom drawer, I don't know how I'm going to work that out, because, you know, my tripod, I don't think goes too much lower than that. I mean, it does, but there we go. Okay. Just gonna get y'all zoomed in, okay? There we go. Okay. So here we are with all of the Dose of Colors palettes. Well, these are all the individual ones. So this is Marvelous Mauves. One of my favorites. Of course, we know I'm a mauve tone queen, so I will obviously be keeping this one. Blushing Berries, it is going to go in the lovely maybes pile, because as we know, I'm not big on berry tones, but I do like this red right here and this black, and I feel like I can get a nice look with both of those and just put one of my single shadows on there and have me a nice little look. And I really like the formula, which is why I hold on to this. But this is going to go in the maybe pile, so put it in my maybe box. Then I have the Snow Angels palette. Now this one, I did not like the way the blues blended in here at all. Like, this blue was difficult to blend, and I think I put this one all over the lid like a long time ago. I mean, y'all know I'm not really big on these colors right here. So this one kind of gives me like mini Morte vibes, if you will, just because it has these red tones in it and then these blue tones in it. And y'all know Morte has red, blue, and mint colors. So I trying to debate if I should let this one go or not. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the baby pile as well. Then we have some Persona Cosmetics, so let's look at those. I'm not going to get rid of either one of these. This is the Copper Theory palette. Although I'm not a warm tone girl, I know the formula of this is really nice, and the shimmers in here are really nice, so I'm going to keep it. The one I like the best, of course, is the Pink Theory. Only thing I hate about it is it's an all matte palette, so it's like I have to go reach for singles shimmers, but that's okay because it encourages me to use my singles and shimmers that I need to use in the first place, and I just don't ever do it because, you know, I have a whole palette with shimmers already in it. So it kind of forces you to use your singles. So sometimes I do like all matte palettes, and this is what I would like to hold on to. So I'm going to keep both of those. If this one comes out in 21 Days of Beauty again, I will go ahead and update it, because this is the old packaging. Now all the packaging looks like this plastic one that we're going to talk about in a second. But this one is not one I really like. I would actually just prefer to declutter this one and keep the other one. But I feel like some of the mattes in here work better for me than the mattes that are in the new palette that they have. But this is Identity 1. So I'm going to hold on to it for now. But it's a reference palette. Identity 2 is the palette I prefer. I love these colors that they chose. And these matte colors don't, like, well, the top row isn't too exciting for me. Like these two shades right here. No. And then I mainly like the shimmers in this palette. So I'm thinking like maybe they're more companion palettes together personally for me, because I only have these two mattes right here, and that other one I just showed you had a whole bunch of mattes that worked better for my skin tone. So I think I'm going to go ahead and keep both of them, because it's like I can use the mattes from the first palette and then use a lot of the shimmers from here and make a cohesive eye look together. But to me, I wouldn't use them on their own, because the first one is really boring. The second one I have used on its own, but you know, I would prefer to have more mattes that would work better for my skin tone, so that's why I'm going to keep the original. This is the Soul Main palette. This one is for reference just because they have other palettes I like better, like that, like the Alva and the Alva 2 palette. Those are the ones I prefer the most. This is what it looks like on the inside. If you all remember, I bought this one because I was like, I figured it might be a Sailor Moon dupe. It is very minimally a Sailor Moon dupe, and I don't necessarily like the shimmers in here because I feel like they're, again, more topper shades. Like I feel like this was a topper shade if I remember correctly. This one is a pretty pigmented shimmer, but I don't know, like the color story of this one just doesn't speak to me the way that Alva does and the Alva 2. So this is here for reference, so I have some old insides to refer to if I need to in a video and talk about the formula of a future palette. And I forgot to bring a palette with me from the brand, so if I didn't have a channel, I would probably just go ahead and declutter it though, just because, again, the Alva collection is more my speed and more of the colors that I reach for and like. So let's see. This is a reference palette as well. This is what is it? Sweater Weather by Kirsten Dominique. I think this was on clearance for like $15 on Sephora or something like that. It comes with two like mini liquid lipsticks. This was her holiday collection from 2019. I like this shade right here and this shade right here. This one is okay, but the rest of them aren't really my speed. Again, it's a reference palette. Plus, I know I can mix this with the Lemonade palette. Like these mattes right here would go good with a shimmer and Lemonade palette. It's one of my favorite shimmers. So that's why I hold on to it. This is the Lemonade palette. So I recently just brought some of these over here. If you all remember my collection video, I had this in my house. But I brought it here because I, you know, wanted to be able to reference it and have some more things to play with while I'm here and declutter some things that I actually don't really care about. So we're going to be keeping this one. I like this shade right here. This is the shade I was talking about I would take from here and use with the Sweater Weather palette, or maybe this shade and this shade. Like this little section right here I would definitely use with that Sweater Weather palette and the purples in there, because I feel like it would go well with that. So we're going to keep this. Not to mention they discontinued it, so it wouldn't like be able to I wouldn't be able to add it back to my collection if I wanted to. This is Latte 2. Latte 1 is at home because that's my preferred favorite one. Not that this one is bad, it's just like I'm not a neutral person, so we know, like, you know, I'm not going to reach for it most likely anyway. I like this shade right here. I always like the colorful mattes that she adds to the palettes. So it's like I could put this all over my lid, put this in the inner corner and pick one of these, put on the outer V. Or I can use this on the lid and dust this on the lower lash line and use this as my inner corner shade. So I have a nice little pop. So I feel like she does a good job with the neutral palettes. Some of the colorful palettes, I'm confused by the color stories though sometimes. And I'm just like, oh, okay. But yeah, so I'm impressed with this palette and I like it. And we're going to go ahead and keep that. This Saharan palette, I was actually supposed to do a look for you all on Instagram with this. I had tried to set it up where I did looks every week with just a certain brand. But it didn't work out that way because I did a couple of Juvia's Place ones and I ended up being inspired by the Natasha Denona one. And then you all got the purple look that you got from the Love palette. And then I have another one coming in February. I'm going to film and look for it like hopefully tomorrow. But you know, this is what this palette looks like. I bought this one because I didn't want to buy the Natasha Denona Aries palette along with the Joya palette, because that would have been like $100 for two like 5-pan palettes, and I was like, fuck no, we're not doing that. So I just bought this instead because it was cheaper. I don't really reach for this palette or this color story, but I feel like it's a good reference piece, and since I love Juvia's Place, I might be inspired to use it in the future. Now, this Ace Beauté Flare palette, I don't like the formula of their palette, so that's why I stopped buying them, because the Oceanic palette looks gorgeous. I'm thinking about buying Nostalgia, though, just because Karen Harris was talking about how nice the formula was in that one compared to some of the other ones. So I might get that one if they have a good sale. But this is the one I bought. I saw Live in Life do, I think, 3 looks with this palette, and they looked gorgeous. I love this roll down here at the bottom, and then I love the roll at the top. Y'all know I don't give a damn about this orange roll in the middle. They took it and shoved it somewhere. I don't care. But it's a nice palette overall. I like to have it again for reference, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. This one actually lives at my house, so it just happened to be in here because it was in a box with those other ones that I was going to use for reference. But yeah. The next one I have is, again, another Ace Beauté palette. This is Slice of Paradise. I really like the color story of this. If you all remember, I compared this to the Natasha Denona. What palette is that? The Tropic one I just talked shit about. I compared this to that one. Sorry, I'm trying to get a pillow for my knees because this is a wood floor and I'm not feeling it. Or my knees aren't feeling it. But yeah, so I like this palette, okay? But I'm not, you know, like, truly impressed with its formula. I'm just more impressed with the color story. And it's a nice rainbow palette from Black owned brand. So that's why it's here. I brought my Juicy Boost here because, well, I'm not that fond of it. And I have the Colored Rain Vivid Pigments and Shadows palette. So I figured I could use this here as a Colored Rain palette that's in stock right now that I can reference to. Because I have like one other Colored Rain palette down there, but they don't even make it anymore. I think you can only find it at Target. But this is what it looks like. This is Juicy Boost. I got the book one. So you have to flip that one page and then flip the other page. And here it is. I know a lot of people didn't like the formulas. I know Karen Harris ranked it as one of the worst palettes of 2020. I like the color story just fine. I do agree that some of the shades are hard to blend out, but I don't think it's too bad to the point where like if it's on sale you shouldn't buy it. It's just you have to know how to work with the shadows, and it's not as easy as it used to be because they changed their formulas to be, I think it was like vegan and cruelty free or something like that. I believe that's what I was told. Anyway, we're just gonna go through the Black owned brands really quick. So I'll show you the other Colored Rain. This is the Berry Cute palette. This is one I was talking about. You can only get it Target now because Colored Rain is sold at Target. This is what it looks like on the inside. It is quite the cool tone Purple Lover's Dream. I've never understood this color right here. I don't know why it's there, but okay, like these two colors I don't understand because to me they're not purple toned in any way. They're more orangey, copperish base. So why they're in a Berry Cute palette, I don't know. I haven't seen any berries that are coppery orange tone, but you know, to each his own, whatever. I like this palette okay. I used to just keep this one here for reference, so I'm actually gonna let this one go because I have the Juicy Boost and it's actually in stock. I was just keeping this for like formula reference, but at the same time I'm thinking maybe I should put it in the maybe pile just because this is their original formula and the Juicy Boost is their new formula. So since I left the what is it, the Queen of Hearts at my house, I feel like I should keep this so I can reference their original formula versus like the new formula for when they make future palettes. So I think we're still gonna go hold on to this just because that I don't need to maybe it because I want to bring all my other stuff over here. So next I have the Mauves by Juvia's Place. So believe it or not, this one is here just because I feel like I don't have any mauve palettes here in my grandmother's house, and so I thought it would be good. Not to mention I don't really like the color story of this palette. Like I don't know what it is because y'all know I'm a mauve queen, but like the mauves in here just don't impress me. I'm not excited. I don't want to be bothered. I can't. I just can't. It can't be done. But anyway, yeah, I don't know, but I'm not a fan of the color story of this, which is why it's here, aside from the fact that this is one of those topper shades and this is the only shimmer I have in it. So it's like I have to use this satiny shimmer and then top this all the time and then probably use this again in the inner corner and then top this in order to get any type of pigmentation that I want, and I don't necessarily like that. That's the thing I don't like about some of these, because some of them I feel like they have the right matte to shimmer ratio and they have the right like formulas in them, and other ones I feel like they don't and they're just horrible. And this is one that I was not excited about, which I'm sad about because you all know I am mauve tone queen, but this one I left over here just because I was not impressed. I'm thinking about I would declutter this, the Queen, Fumi, and Juvia's Place palette, but she has a shade in here named after our son, Adrian, so I can't get rid of it because this one is named Adrian. So this is just more of a nostalgic palette for me. I don't ever reach for it. It's not like the color story is bad, it's just because it's a face and eye palette. And because I don't ever, Juvia's Place is one of those brands, like I buy their palettes because they have cool color stories, but I never reach for them. It just kind of falls into that category. So it has nothing to do with Fumi or the quality of her palette. It's just more of Juvia's Place isn't a brand I reach for because I have Viseart and, you know, other brands. So I don't really reach for my drugstore that much. I made a whole video about palettes I buy but never use, and this brand was in there. So unfortunately, I don't ever reach for it. But like I said, it has nothing to do with Fumi. I just don't reach for it because I have plenty of other stuff. Okay, the next one I have is the Saharan palette. So you all saw the Saharan too. This is the original Saharan palette. I somewhat like the color story of this and I somewhat don't, but I always hold on to it because of this shade right here, and then the silver and that red and this gorgeous gold, and then I like never reach for it. But I like to have it for reference purposes, and I know I could buy it again easily for like $5 or $10, but why buy it easily again for $5 or $10 when they have a sale when I already have it, and I could just keep it and show you the color reference that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep it, but again, it's a reference purpose palette. It's not one I just keep because. Same with this one. This is the Nubian 3 Coral palette. I do not like this palette. I think it's a weird color story, and y'all know I'm not really into the corals. The only 3 shades I would really use in here on a consistent basis would be these 3. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and declutter this just because I'm not a huge fan of it. Oh crap, the battery's trying to die again, so we're gonna declutter this. Y'all, I got so many palettes to go, so we're gonna have to do a speed run real quick. I hope I didn't break that palette. This is the Wahala palette. Y'all know how I feel about it. I am not a fan of this palette. I do not like this palette. The Wahala 2 is a million times better. There's too many fucking press glitters in here, and then I don't like the color story of it. Even though I know the rows are set up to make sense, it's just not a vibe. So I'm keeping it for reference purposes only. I have these KKW Beauty palettes. This is Classic Blossom. Sorry, this is Classic. This is Classic Blossom. This is one from her birthday. I didn't buy it from her website. I found it on Poshmark for like 20 bucks from a YouTuber, so I went ahead and bought it from her just to see how her purple formula was going to be. This is the fire one. I got this on Ulta for like no, I had this one for like a long time. If you all remember, I did a video comparing it to the Queen of Hearts. This is the first Mario palette. I love Mario, so I bought it. This is the second one. This is why I don't buy from her brand anymore. That shade right there was damaged when I got it, and I never heard from her team about repairing it anyway. So I just keep them because I like Mario, and again, to be able to reference the brand if anyone asks about the formula or anything like that. Carly Bible palette. Again, I like Carly Bible. That's the only reason I bought it, because the color story in here, the one I like at the top, doesn't work very well for my skin tone, and the bottom one I don't care about. So, the Soft X Revolution palette. This is the extra spicy one. This is the second one she came out with. This is a nice Makeup Revolution palette, but I think I'm finally ready to let it go. I like Soft X and I like this color story, but I don't ever reach for this palette, like, ever. So we're gonna let it go finally. Next thing I have is the Dominique Cosmetics Rustic Glam palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. This is a reference palette. I don't really like that one. I think it has a weird color story. You think I'd love it because it has a whole bunch of blues, but no. This is Friendcation. I am going to keep it. Friendcation is everything. I have two Friendations because I like it that much. I have two of, it's my Ray Ray's face palette. This is when I leave here at my grandmother's house, and I have one I take on vacation. This is the nicer looking one. The one I have at home, oh my god, it looks so messy and disgusting. It has setting powder and everything else. That's how much I love Ray's palette. This is the second one, volume 2. I compared this one to the Subversive palette, I think it was, from Pat McGrath. If you didn't want to buy that one, you could buy Ray Ray's, but Ray Ray's isn't sold anymore. So I have this Grandeur palette. I honestly just keep this here for reference because I don't like the color story on this. I think I'm going to recreate this palette like I did some other color palettes. So let me show you the ones I recreated really quick. This is my Gather Round Sisters palette. You all saw the video on that, so I don't need to open it. Like I told y'all, the camera about to die, so we need to hurry the hell up. This is You're So Money Baby. I like the color story of this because I love that she put pops of green in here with a more pastel-y palette, and y'all know these are my tones, so I ended up catching this for I think like 20 bucks or something on her website. So that's how I ended up with it. Perversion. If I could ever make a palette, I told y'all this would be one of the palettes I would make. It is gorgeous, wonderful. You need it in your life. If you do not have it, I think they still sell it. Grab it while you can. They don't make this one anymore, but it's really similar to I Love Side of Ease palette. And since I left I Love Side of Ease palette at home, I keep this one here as a reference for those same colors. This is Sweet Nothings. Again, this was the other holiday palette that went with that one. I love the color story of this one. I wish they would come back out with it again. I want to do a video on palettes ColourPop should keep in stock. This is the Chasing Rainbows. This was their 2018 collection, I want to say. This is what the palette looks like. It is gorgeous. It reminds me of the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde, except they used different colors, but they did the same type of color story with 3 different rolls of 3 different tones. It's pretty. I like it. I redid this one. I didn't do too much to it. I literally just added this blue shade from the Mara palette, but I feel like it a whole lot better. I'm going to do some more, but I need to find some more ColourPop palettes I like that I can just switch around. I definitely changed the Candy Castle palette because I couldn't use shit in it, so I redid mine. I picked some shades from the Mara palette and put them in here, and that's how we got that. And the last palette we have is the Sailor Moon palette, and this is what it looks like on the inside. So I really like the way I redid it. Somebody else told me they liked it, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Shout out to you. I mixed a few palettes just to make this palette, and I still feel like it doesn't work for my skin tone, but at least it looks better, aesthetically pleasing to me. So let me go charge this battery, and then we will go to the last drawer of the palettes, and then we will be done with over here and do to the complexion. So I will see you all later.